Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. It means we're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Half the work week just about in the rearview mirror here on a short work week, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to some regional baseball. Koke Riley is going to be along in 15 minutes to chat about that, and we got tons to do over the next 2 hours. Jacob Beck, Cassie Spicali back there on the ones and twos, and fired up you're with us. It's What If Wednesday. If you're in the Bayou Ford chat, fire those along. Got a couple of those on Twitter thus far. Are the Saints the worst team in the NFL? That was surmised by one power ranking. We'll give that a little bit of thoughts at 2 o'clock, straight up 2 o'clock, so an hour from right now. I'll give you my thoughts on LSU's pitching this weekend, how I would line it up, and what I think the best way to go about things is. Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks. Health was updated from Destin. And we're going to one more time go back to our SEC baseball power rankings and just see how ridiculous my first power rankings were after just 3 games of baseball had been played. We'll do all that over the course of the next 2 hours. Lock us in. We'll start the same way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
We try to keep things very local on this station. We're told, play the hits, talk about LSU, talk about the baseball team, talk about the basketball team, football team recruiting, talk about the Saints, talk about the SEC. We don't spend a lot of time talking about the Knicks on this channel. Don't spend a ton of time worrying about how the San Diego Padres rotation is looking. And so that does keep us between the buoys here, but we do cover a myriad of topics. And I have no problem giving you my confidence level in discussing things that we talk about. Like when we talk about what goes on the field at the box this weekend, I'm like a 9 out of 10 on confidence. That doesn't mean I'm right all the time. It just means I'm coming from a background of information. I'm watching. I feel like I have a good handle on what's going on. I feel comfortable all the time discussing what goes on the baseball field. We start diving into the nuances of Kai Harley kicking around the Saints salary cap. I'm closer to a 3. I understand the concepts that we're working within, how exactly those numbers work. I'm not here to tell you I'm an expert on that. That's why we go get Ross Jackson, we go get Luke, we go get Sharif. They tell you how things are going, okay? When it comes to the future of college football, I'm like a 6. I have a sense of where this boat is going. Do I know how fast it's moving? Do I know exactly how it's going to get there? But I follow along, and I try to give you an informed opinion or a passionate opinion, depending on what the news of the day is. And right now, there are college football coaches from the SEC and administrators from the SEC walking around Destin hotels talking to media members. And the setting to me appears to be, and Hester will talk about this when he comes back and when he jumps on the morning show, but the coaches are a little more chatty in Destin than they are when you get them in a Monday press conference, when you get them on a Wednesday conference call. They're willing to put on the button-down Hawaiian shirt and kick back and chat with somebody. Maybe there's a cocktail involved. And they're starting to talk a little bit this week, and we're getting a sense of what's going on with the future of college football scheduling. And I will tell you that as I digest this information from afar, it's starting to really come into focus for me. We are getting very close to phasing out these completely useless non-conference games. We are getting very close to the SEC and the Big Ten coming to an agreement where they play each other and where both teams play both leagues play 9 conference games, and they take control of the college football season. It was never a doubt that was going to happen. He who has the gold makes the rules. The SEC, the Big Ten have all the gold. The ACC and the Big 12 have no gold. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to make the rules. It's just a matter of what was going to force them to go do that. And now we have our answer. The answer is they have to find $20 million in the budget to give the players. So what does that mean? They have to go find more revenue. And the only way to get easy revenue is to make the TV deals grow. And the only way to make the TV deals grow is to put on a more compelling product. And that's where this is headed. Because these schools these conferences want to take control of this expanded playoff. The expanded playoff is coming because everybody wants the money. And so the Big Ten's sitting here going, well, we play 9 league games and you play 8. And if we're going to have a committee that comes in and determines who's getting in this playoff, and we are putting all of our schools at a greater risk for taking a loss than you are, so you have a better chance to get more teams in the playoff, so you have a chance to get a bigger piece of that revenue pie, then we're not agreeing to that. So the Big Ten is sitting here looking at the SEC going, you need to get in line and get a 9th game. And then the SEC is coming back and they're going, well, we're kind of okay at 8 right now, but we'd like to guarantee 4 spots in this new expanded 16-team playoff. And in doing so, we're going to create more games. We're going to have play-in games to get in the playoff. Play-ins for the playoff. Take this right out of Major League Baseball. So what the SEC is saying, they're going to have the first seed and the second seed from the regular season play each other for the championship, like we've always done. Then we're going to have the third seed play the 6th seed and the 4th seed play the 5th seed. And the winner of those 2 games gets in the playoff. And now we've guaranteed our 4 playoff teams, the 1, 2, and then the winner of 3-6 and the winner of 4-5. Okay, well, let me talk about that in a second. But the Big Ten's sitting back going, we're not agreeing to this deal until you say you're going to 9 conference games. And so what I think is going to happen is that that's going to work. I think the SEC is going to go to the 9th conference game. I think the SEC is going to, in addition to that 9th conference game, take on a contract to play a Big Ten school every year, and the SEC is going to play the Big Ten every year. Brian Kelly has said that the SEC coaches want that to happen. And you're going to have enough room in the playoff to where everybody feels comfortable taking on 10 opponents that are within the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, whether Clemson and South Carolina want to keep playing, and Florida State want to keep playing, and Kentucky and Louisville want to keep playing, and all that jazz is up to them. But I think this is where we're going. And I'm good with the last part there. I'm good with us going to 9 SEC games and a Big Ten game every year. That's 10 opponents. You sprinkle in 2 more, whatever the case may be, and that's the meat of your schedule, and we work off of that. What I have to go back to now in the course of this discussion is this ludicrous thing where you're playing 3 play-in games to get into playoff. You're playing 3 games to get into the 16-team playoff. Well, now we're playing the playoffs for 2 months, and you've got a bunch of, last year, that would have been some sort of entanglement of Missouri and LSU and Texas A&M and South Carolina trying to wrangle up who should be in the playoff. Guess what, gang? Bama lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, who stunk. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, who stunk. South Carolina didn't win enough games. I don't need to just completely be rewarding every single SEC team that goes 8-4. That is not the point. I don't think at all you've devalued the regular season in college football when you go to 12. When you start immediately looping into the playoff, when you're into the playoff in the SEC, if you're the 6th seed in a 16-team league. You're not technically in the playoff yet with the Big Ten schools or the ACC champ, but you're now playing games where if you win, you can win the national championship. At 8-4, don't need it. I don't need that. The point of this awesome playoff was to have Clemson going to Austin last year, and to have Tennessee going to Ohio State, and to have Ohio State and Oregon playing, and to have Texas and Notre Dame play. Like, that was the point. The point was not to go fish out the 6th seed in the Big Ten or the SEC and have them tee it up in a huge playoff-style game in December. Y'all, I adore LSU more than you know. If they go 8-4, I don't necessarily need them beating down the door to go play the 3 seed in the SEC to get in the playoff. Like, I'll certainly watch, and I'll certainly do it with bated breath, and that's probably the point because there'll be more money because the television people know that I'll watch. But I don't think that's the best thing for the sport. Because at that point, I don't even have to tune in September and October. Y'all have listened to me. There are some people that want to go back to the BCS 1 and 2. You lose a game, you're toast. Michigan, Ohio State means everything to those 2 schools, as opposed to this past year where Ohio State lost and still won the national championship comfortably. There are some people that feel that way. I don't. I want to keep more teams involved, but there's a threshold there where it goes too far. And when we are playing 3 playoff games within the SEC to get into a 16-team playoff, we've lost the plot. And this is all coming down to this endless chase for cash. Money is part of sports. It's been that way my whole life. It hasn't been that way for all of your lives. If you're very much older than me, there was a time where it was a little bit more pure. That day is gone. It's got to be considered in everything. But we've got to keep our heads here. I understand, like I said yesterday, when Greg Sankey comes to the podium and starts talking, that he's not actually speaking about what he exactly thinks is best. He's only advocating for his league. And in doing this, the SEC coaches and commissioners and the Big Ten coaches and commissioner, they're advocating for a way to get more money to just do the best they can for their league, not the sport, not the fan. And at some point, somebody's got to step up and go, hey, hold it 1 second. We can do this a little bit more smartly, to use a non-word. I don't need 8-4 teams duking it out in December. I don't need to watch Iowa and Wisconsin battling it out in this. I don't need South Carolina and Auburn battling it out after they've lost 4 games. I just, that to me is a bridge too far. We got to find revenue. I get it. I like expanding the playoff to 12. I love the fact that they immediately recorrected and they're seeding things properly based on a committee. I believe the SEC deserves more spots and to not be treated as an equal with the ACC and the Big 12. There are things I believe that they're doing. But once you go this far, we're now not really doing this in the interest of competition. We're only doing it in the interest of money. And that's where you lose me. To be clear, you don't lose me as a fan. I'm going to watch no matter what. I'm not that offended. You lose me as someone who is analyzing the decision-making of these higher-ups. This is flawed. You're going down the wrong path. They would probably sit here and say, we have to go down the path because they're making us pay $20 million to the athletes. I would suggest maybe let's just find another way to do that. It's hard. It's hard discussions. If it was easy, they'd have this figured out in 15 minutes. But it's hard, and everybody's got to lobby for their best interest. We're getting a lot of that out of Destin. We'll try to run Jake down in the next couple of days and see kind of what the vibe is around that hotel. We're getting stories from sports writers and tweets from people that are there, but undoubtedly there are private conversations that are going on as well, and I'm curious if Jake's been involved in some of those and kind of what he feels like the push is going toward. That's our Genesis Opening Drive. We're brought to you here by Renaissance Homes and Pools on Wednesdays. We'll have Koke Riley talking LSU baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesis offers a luxury experience at a reasonable price. That's why when I say Genesis, you should go, oh, luxury vehicle. But when you think luxury vehicle, you shouldn't automatically go, well, can't afford that. Start that process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. I bet you'll be surprised. And then, once you see what that looks like, go in. Their facility is first class. Their staff is first class. And the line of vehicles is absolutely first class. If you're looking for a sedan, they got you. Looking for an SUV for your family, they got you. Stylish, comfortable, modern, phenomenal line of vehicles at Genesis of Baton Rouge. You may not have been by, but if you're in the market for a vehicle in Baton Rouge, you're probably on Airline Highway. Make that one more stop across from Women's Hospital and go see my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Two o'clock start time for LSU and Little Rock from the box. 6:30 will be game 2. That'll be between the number 2 seed Dallas Baptist, the number 3 seed Rhode Island. Koke Riley will be there. Covered it all for the Advocate. Good enough to give us a little bit of time on Wednesdays. Koke, how are you?
Doing pretty well. How's it going?
It's going well. Hoover, Alabama. Before we talk about LSU, I know you weren't there the whole time, but you were there for 3 days, I think. Crowds, energy, vibes with the single elimination new format. What was your takeaway from a little time in Hoover?
Yeah, I thought the A&M crowd was really good. It was like vintage LSU fans showing up at the SEC tournament in droves sort of crowd. Second game was a lot harder to tell because they didn't score a run. But it was a pretty packed house and, middle of the day, so it was a little more, I don't say lethargic, but quieter for sure. But the night game, in a big important game like that, with all the fans was really cool. And they've also made like a ton of upgrades to the park. A whole bunch of new seats. As you probably saw, there's the stands now. You can sit in the outfield and right field. And I like the modernization of a SEC staple. And I have a soft spot for Hoover in that little park, but they've also really improved it this year, so that's good to see.
All right, first thing, LSU goes with Anderson and Ianson on Friday. What was your reaction to that? And then did you take Jay at face value in the press conference when he kind of gave the reasons why?
Yeah, I take at least a few of those reasons. I think it's I don't know how much it matters to have one guy or the other guy in your Friday game if you're already guaranteed to host a regional. But at the same time, if you wanted to guarantee them both to throw, that was probably the best way to do it. And if you wanted to tamp down their pitch counts, that was also a really smart way to do it. So I mean, yes, they generally wanted to win the games over there, but it wasn't the end of the world. And what was more important was getting their top guys a little bit of work in before this upcoming weekend. So
then you saw on Saturday a trio of Newt, Shores, and Myers. What do you make of those guys now as you head into the games that really matter?
Newt's splitter is a really, really good pitch, and he does a good job of combining that with his fastball. He doesn't really – I don't think he really has a plus breaking ball right now, but right now the fastball splitter combo is really, really working for him. And his command is just way better. He's living in the lower half of the zone. He's not missing up. He's been really, really good. And I know he gave up the one home run there, and he gave up another run in the fourth. But Ole Miss is a regional team. They could easily make a super regional, easily make it to Omaha, I should say. So that was a really impressive performance. And again, his command has just been so much better lately. And then with Chase, the guy was up to 102, and some of the mechanical adjustments he's made have made him just more effective. I think guys aren't really seeing the ball as well against him as they were at the beginning of the year. The command is still a bit of an issue. He had 3 walks the other day, but he's not getting hit that hard as much. So I think that's a good sign if you're LSU. And then for Jacob Myers, that was by far his best performance of the year. He was electric. Fastball, 100 was a ride. He has a good little splitter too, slider. When he's on, he might have the best stuff on the staff, which kind of sounds ridiculous, but again, it's the riding fastball at 100 miles an hour. It's absurd. And if you command any of it, that's the thing, right? When he's commanding the ball, he's as unhittable as anyone.
And then you got the bats that did not score a run. We've talked about it for a month. I don't really know what to say. Sometimes they're great, usually at home. Sometimes they're not, usually on the road. They'll be at home for 2 weeks. What's your concern level on the offense?
It has to be there, right? 2 hits in 15 innings. It's just not going to cut it in any situation. And I think you kind of have to go. If you kind of go by a man by man basis and see why they may be struggling more than they should. I think Jared Jones turned things around a little bit more in conference play towards the second half, but he still wasn't quite the superstar that you wanted to see against SEC competition. And then Stephen Milam has taken a clear step back offensively this season. And when little stuff like that starts happening, and you really have to lead into a freshman in Derek Carriel, for example, or Danny Dickinson, who's taken a half step back as the season has gone along offensively, once those little things start adding up, now you kind of find yourself in the situation you're at right now, where Ethan Fry becomes your most valuable hitter. And Ethan Fry's been excellent for them, especially against left-handed pitching. And Jake Brown's been very good against right-handed pitching, but it's platoon guys these platoon split guys are running your offense. That's not a good sign. You need the stars to step up and play like stars, and they haven't necessarily had that in a lot of these sort of matchups.
SEC has become kind of the big leagues. They've just got more talent than everybody. Is there a chance that over the next 2 weeks, not playing an SEC team unless you play Kentucky, that doesn't look like it did against SEC teams?
There's definitely a chance, but I don't want to poo-poo Clemson too much. They're a really good team. Cam Canterell is a really good player. They got, they could come in here and win the series. It's not impossible. I mean, LSU hasn't lost the series at home this year. And then they face some pretty darn talented teams that are probably more talented than Clemson is. But, if they face Kentucky, that means Kentucky has really figured something out with all these close losses, right? So that could be really dangerous if that happens for LSU. But I think LSU is as much of a favorite as anyone in the country to get to Omaha, and it has very little to do with them, and it has more to do with, the competition and the fact that they have pretty easily, I'd say by far the easiest regional out of all the, not just the top 8 seeds, but of all the top 16. So I think because of that, now you're looking at a situation where they're in a really, really good spot, even with these offensive issues, because, again, the schedule just broke their way this year.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. The other reason LSU is a big prohibitive favorite is because of Anderson and Ianson. How do you think they're deployed this weekend?
Yeah, I think Anderson's going to pitch on Friday. I don't know for sure. That's just because, I don't know. Whoever they throw, it doesn't really totally matter. They're going to throw one of them in that first game. So, any idea of why don't we just throw Jaden Newt instead? I don't think that's really going to happen at all. But it's going to be one of those two guys for sure. And and I think that's kind of important because you don't want them to be off schedule heading into the Super Regional. You'd rather not have those guys pitch on short rest heading into a Super. And if you throw one of them on Friday and the other one on Saturday, then they'll be on track to be ready for the Super, even if it's a Thursday to Saturday. And then you only have one extra less day of rest, which is fine. But if you say you hold these guys for Saturday and Sunday, now if you end up in a Thursday to Saturday or even a Friday to Sunday, the guys could be on short rest when you didn't really need to do that in the first place. So, plus the team has pitching depth. So because of that, it would make me feel even more comfortable with doing what they're probably going to do here.
We shall find out probably about 1 o'clock on Friday who Jay Johnson decides to throw out there in this game on Friday. Koke, last one here. Appreciate a little bit of your time. Zach Cowan and Kason Evans, how do you think they are used here? Neither one pitched in Hoover.
I wouldn't be surprised at all that if Evans starts the third game, and I don't know. I just sort of figure that, I don't think they'd give up on him or anything. I think they want to give him and Cowan as much rest as possible because they used them so heavily during the regular season. And I don't think that the usage is going to change much with Zach. I think he's probably going to be the closer for them. With Evans, he's kind of in this hybrid role at the moment, especially with Jaden Newt's recent ascension. But I could definitely see them starting him. I mean, he's already proven that he can get these DBU hitters out. He did it in in Arlington. So, it should be really interesting how they deploy those two guys. But they're still their two best relievers. I know, Shorters look a little bit better, and Jacob Myers, what he's on, and all that sort of stuff. But those two guys are still their best relievers, and I'm really curious to see, how they can continue their success heading into the regional.
Koke, we'll see you at the box this weekend. Should be a fun one. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
He's Koke Riley, LSU beat reporter over at The Advocate, covering the LSU baseball squad. I've now looked over all three teams in this regional pretty extensively. Got a feel for what they do well, what their issues may be, handedness, pitching matchups, pitching plans. And I feel pretty good about kind of mapping out how I think this should go over the weekend. I'll be very clear. The regional very, very, very rarely goes the way you would like it to go. I'll tell you, look, in 2023 at home, You send Ty Floyd out there to start the second game, and then the rains come. So you got to go to Thatcher Hurd, and you're playing Oregon State, and you're in a tie game late, and you send Aaron Nola out there in a game against Sam Houston State in 2013, and they immediately put up a 5 spot in the first inning. Christian Ibarra makes 2 errors. It just weird stuff happens in regionals. So I'm going to tell you what my pitching plan would be at 2 o'clock. But in telling you that, I'm already revealing, I've watched enough of these things. It almost never goes according to plan. Almost never. So we'll see how things go starting on Friday, but I'll give you kind of my 2 cents on it at the top of hour number 2. When we come back, we'll play some What If Wednesday that involve LSU and Clemson maybe in 2 weeks, definitely Labor Day weekend. What do I think about that? We'll do it all next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. It doesn't have to be a huge, big renovation with One Bath and Closets. They can do that. It doesn't have to be. If you're thinking that sounds too invasive, that sounds too expensive for me right now, what about something simple? Do you ever use your bathtub? If you don't use it and it's dingy, maybe a little bit old, unsightly, shower curtains stained, just ditch it. Get rid of the bathtub. Put in a walk-in shower. It changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, add a little value to your home. Just make you smile knowing you got a brand new clean shower there instead of an old dingy tub. Get the process started today by calling David Duvall or going to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can see pictures of their awesome work. You can see the testimonials. You get that consultation, and they have financing options available. 0% up to 18 months. That's same as cash. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. You've been thinking for years about getting that pool of your dreams. That's been a life goal of yours. It's time to make it happen. Call my guy, Joey Blanchard, and get that process started with Renaissance Homes and Pools. Joey has done it for dozens of people in and around the Baton Rouge area. And the best thing is you're thinking, well, it's already like almost June. Like, it's going to be too late. This process can move along pretty quickly. Now, weather's always an issue. So I can't tell you exactly how long it's going to take to put in your pool because I don't know what your pool is going to look like. But 6 to 8 weeks is always pretty reasonable for the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools to get that thing done. You're talking about having that thing finished up into July. You've got August and September to be in it. Start the process today at builtbyrenaissance.com or by calling Joey directly at 225-252-7745. Joey's the owner of the company, and he's going to be with you every step of the way. He will sit down at the computer with the software to design everything. And the software is incredible, y'all. The amount of detail that can go into this is truly astounding. You can put in the outdoor kitchen with it. If you are an adult family that's got no more kids, you want a cocktail pool, great. If you put in a pool that's designed for the family and the kids, grandkids, that's fantastic. You want one that's designed for hanging out and getting a little bit of sun, you do that as well. It's all there at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Give Joey a call, 225-252-7745, or go to builtbyrenaissance.com. That's builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, we got lots to do here over the next 90 minutes. It starts with What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Well, okay. I'm reading the first one here.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. What if Myers Palmer Hunt's 2-year-old son?
He's three.
Three-year-old son tried the 999 challenge. Could he outperform me?
Well, wow. We talked about this on the show yesterday when you were not here. I got updates from Wrigley. For those who are not familiar with the 999 challenge, that's 9 hot dogs, 9 beers in 9 innings. Beck, just a miserable failure. One of the most pathetic performances I've ever seen on record.
Hunt.
Look, Myers doesn't love hot dogs, and he's still not quite there with the beers yet. But if we were going chicken nuggets, chicken tender orders, lemonade waters in 9 innings, he wipes the floor with you.
Okay.
I'll give you could beat Keller. He's 11 weeks old, and he would probably struggle with the 9 bottles in 9 innings. But Myers Palmer, over the chicken tenders and lemonades, he crushes.
Okay, look, there was no way I could do it. The game went by so fast. The Cubs,
pitch clock.
The Cubs, for some reason, couldn't get a hit against the Rockies, the worst team in Major League Baseball
history. By the way,
in history, their start, one of the worst starts in history.
It is the worst start in history now because of last night.
Yes, and the Cubs simply just could not get a hit. Jamison Tyone had a perfect game going into the 5th inning. There was no chance there was no way I could have 9 hot dogs and 9 beers in 2 hours, Hunt. It was literally impossible.
Well, I thought your performance was poor.
I had 6 beers and 5 hot dogs in 2 hours. I felt horrible.
Oh, man. It sounds fun until you get in there and do it.
It's not. The hot dogs, here's the thing. The hot dogs,
they're not that great at Wrigley.
Well, okay.
For a city that prides itself on dogs,
they
are
were
mediocre.
fine, but the problem is the bun. Like, I could eat 9 hot dogs. Just the wiener, I could eat 9. But the hot dog and the bun, with all that and the beer, it was just not. Also, of course, it really put me in a financial bind.
Yes,
because I'm getting
a little pricey.
I'm getting the tall beer, so it's basically 2 and 1. It was like 20 ounces, and it was like $20 a pop.
Go Cubs, huh?
Yeah.
Great day at Wrigley.
Really good. I took about a 2-hour nap after that game.
Sure you did.
And I was okay after that. But other than that, yeah, it was not a successful challenge. All right, next one. What if Butch Thompson leaves Auburn for Mississippi State?
Butch has done a great job at Auburn. He's been to Omaha twice, I believe, and their national seed this year. He was a pitching coach at State under John Cohen, who hired him at Auburn. Obviously, you're going to a place that has a richer tradition in baseball. Facility-wise, Auburn is really anteed up, but Mississippi State's is the better facility. It's really a question of NIL and comfort. Do you want to leave and go take the other job? I think they'll talk to him. I don't know if he would jump. If he took that job, I think he would do a good job. He's done a great job at Auburn.
All right, next one here. What if you had to choose one? LSU beats Clemson in the Super Regionals, and they make it to Omaha, of course, with that. Or LSU beats Clemson to start the football season. One or the other. What's your choice?
So I got this on Twitter, and a buddy texted me this when the bracket came out. And I gave this significant thought. I know that football's a bigger deal, and I know that the vast majority of this fan base cares far more about football than baseball. I also know that y'all just assume that I would immediately jump to the baseball side of this because I'm most passionate about baseball. But I gave it like real thought, and here's where I landed on it. If you lose to Clemson in the Super, your season's over. Anderson and Ianson and Jared Jones are gone, and it's restarting again. And you've already earned a national seed, and at that point, you're on the doorstep of Omaha in a season where I don't see a juggernaut. If you lose to Clemson in football, you go to week 2. Now, it's a bad deal. I got it. It's a bad deal. And if you beat them in football, it's a huge deal. But you can still fall on your face in the SEC schedule. I'm more wired to take the thing that's more controllable. And at this point, I can control the fact that LSU baseball is going to the top 8 in Omaha. And LSU football still got a chance. So I'm going to take the baseball, and I promise I did put a lot of thought into that. Is that a reasonable thing to say?
Yeah, it is.
It's bad if LSU loses to Clemson at Labor Day weekend.
It's
a bad deal. But you can recover.
Yeah, if LSU loses to Clemson in football and we've lost, what is that? Will it be 5?
They're going to be underdogs when they get there.
Yeah. But it's just the
6 openers in a row they lose.
Yeah, 6 in a row is just going to be one of those things that
they will not have won since Joe Burrow beat some sort of Northwestern State or something.
Oh, yeah. It was Northwestern State, I think. Yeah. All right, moving on. What if LSU is down 2 runs Saturday night and Ianson,
so that's the winner's bracket
or
game,
Anderson is done after 7? Who do you bring in, considering you might need to win 3 games in the next 2 days if you lose this one?
That spot is probably... Obviously, I don't know who pitched on Friday, but I'm thinking some sort of Jacob Myers, or I think that's probably where I settle. I mean, it's not Cowan, it's not Evans, down 2. You're going to need those guys because those guys Cowan and Evans could conceivably throw 6 innings at a time in those 3 games that you still have to win, assuming they didn't pitch on Friday. So I need somebody who I feel like can hold it, may not give me as much length, but isn't one of the top 2 relievers. So Myers comes to mind. I think that's just the guy that I lean on there. I think that's probably the answer that I have. I'm going to give you my pitching plans in full at 2 o'clock in 15 minutes, but that's probably where I am on that one right now.
All right, last one real quick. This one, I got another one from my wife on. I ask her every week to send me a what
Wow.
if. She never does because she just always thinks that
because she has a job and like a real life to live.
Well, yeah,
instead
and also
of humoring this goofy show.
Yeah, and then also, of course, the trauma of what happened for the first one.
Therapists are just raking in bucks by the truckload, thanks to your wife earlier.
All right, here it is. And this is a what if, so let's just play into it because obviously this isn't realistic. But what if Baton Rouge had a professional baseball team?
Okay.
Where would the field/stadium be, and what would the team be called?
It'd be called the Rougarou. They'd play at Goldsby.
There you go. She also said, I quote, "I don't know. I think it's weeks." But that was what she gave me.
Oh God, we don't need any more stadiums. We struggle with traffic here as it is.
That would be tough.
So trying to find a spot to put a baseball park that was major league size would be tough. I guess the answer is probably where the LSU golf course is.
Yeah, which is where
they're going to put their basketball arena
yeah.
and deal with the multi-parking and the campus parking and just try to put it there. But you're going to have a lot of double dips there with LSU playing in March, April, and May, and I think theoretically June. And then football season, you got to, oh, God.
Yes.
LSU football.
Oh,
I mean,
my
that
goodness.
sounds terrible, too. So my idea sucks. But, we can't support that. We don't quite have enough folks to do it. But I'm kind of glad that we don't have a pro baseball team because I already have one of those.
Yes, we do.
And I don't want to feel like a real traitor, even though some people suggest that I am because I don't pull for the Saints. But it is what it is. All right, let's talk about the Saints when we come back to close out hour number 1.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
So the new NFL FPI, which is a ratings metric put together by ESPN, is out for the 2025 season. And the Eagles are the number one team in FPI, plus 5.5, meaning they're 5 points better than the average NFL team. Chiefs are second, Ravens third, Lions fourth. None of this completely surprising. You look at middle-of-the-pack teams, Texans plus 0.9, Steelers plus 0.01, Cowboys right there on the negative side with the Dolphins. All that makes a lot of sense. When you look around at the NFC South, kind of look at where the Saints' competition comes in this metric, and you wouldn't imagine that a lot of teams in the NFC South are thought of too highly. The Buccaneers 14th in the NFL at plus 0.9. And then you see the Atlanta Falcons 26th minus 2.7. The Panthers, they're terrible. They are 28th in this metric, minus 4 points below the middle of the pack. So where are the Saints? They're last. 32nd in the NFL, minus 5.2, below the Titans, below the Browns, below the Jets, below the Panthers, below the Giants. Dead last. This is truly a whole new world for New Orleans Saints fans of the last 20 years. And there's two ways to kind of look at it. One, it sucks that some folks with reasonable reputations think that your team is the worst team in the league. Like, that's a hard pill to swallow. Whether you are the most hardcore hoodat out there or just a casual, I'll turn it on Sunday after church, like, them telling you your team is the worst in the league is hard to swallow. And then there's another side of it that's like, I can compare this, like when LSU plays Clemson on Labor Day weekend, like, I won't be able to feel my legs in the third quarter of that game. I'll be so nervous because the stakes feel so high. And ultimately, that's what you want as a sports fan, right? You want to be sitting on the edge of your seat with high stakes for your team. But every once in a while, not a lot, every once in a while, you just sit back and go, okay, we're not there right now. Don't have to get my blood pressure up to an unreasonable level. I don't have to scream 50 profanities. I don't have to take a break after the game's over because something happened awful. I don't have to look at Twitter and see that a bunch of fans broke their televisions after a loss. You can just drop everything down a couple notches. And it's not fun to do. It doesn't happen very often in this state with LSU football. It never happened with the Saints over the course of 20 years with Breeze and right after that. And now we are back there. There will be very few that will suggest that, no, we don't have to go that far back. We're not that bad. But the reality is you probably are. But at the same time, like, okay, let's watch the build. Let's watch what they do without having to just pour blood, sweat, and tears every Sunday into trying to get that win. Just watch for the good, understand the bad is coming, and try to get some of these young guys to grow up. Try to see if your quarterback can take some steps forward. And, man, there is nothing better than the come up and turning that corner. You saw it early on with the Saints. When Breeze and Bush and that crew, that part is as fun as anything in sports. My Cubs did it in 2015. They just went nuts in the second half, got into the playoffs, and just beat the brakes off the hated Cardinals. It was the most fun I have had watching a sporting event in pro sports. And you're probably a couple years from that. Hopefully 2, maybe 3. But you have to go through some garbage to get to that point. And the Saints haven't waded through this in a while. Even the quote-unquote bad Saints seasons, like 2 years ago, they were kind of like in the mix at the end. They say that the lows and going through them make the highs more enjoyable. Like, how much did Alabama football fans really like those big October and November wins over the last 15 years? You knew they were coming. Your season was only 2 games long, and it happened in January. I'm not saying that you don't want to be a part of that, but, like, there is something to the fact that just being incredibly at the top of the sport every single year takes a little bit of drama out of it. How much do you really enjoy it? I'll tell you, Cubs fans really enjoyed climbing the mountain. I'll tell you, Saints fans in 2009 really enjoyed climbing the mountain. And it feels like that because you go through the awful times. And unfortunately, like, you're in that right now. Had to fire a coach, had to move on from the quarterback, have to get rid of this salary cap disaster, and ESPN says you're the worst team in the sport. They may be right, they may be wrong. They're not that far wrong. The Saints aren't the 4th best team in the sport. So maybe there's something to maybe reducing expectations a little bit, watching for what could be, and hoping for that next time then your team rides that wave on the come up and turns the corner. Because that is one of the best feelings in sports. And the NFL is really, really good at allowing for that to happen. It feels like Washington just finally did it. It feels like we know the Lions just finally did it a couple of years ago. Like the Chiefs were not great for decades, and then they finally hit it with Mahomes. And you can go through a list of all these teams, all these franchises, the Bengals 5 years ago. Like, there's a time where it clicks, and you just kind of wait for that, and man, is it awesome. And I'm hopeful for that time again with the Saints, with the realization that through this a little bit, and maybe that just lowers the blood pressure on Sundays this coming fall. It's not fun to see your team listed last. I get that. But maybe it just gives you a little dose of perspective. We'll see. That's Saints talk for this Wednesday. We'll come back. How should LSU pitch this regional? I've got thoughts on it. I will tell you what those thoughts are after we pause for SportsCenter and get some national headlines.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just great folks to work with. I know a lot of folks in the insurance game, and I know that a lot of them are wonderful agents, and I know that there are some that aren't. There are some that have some fairly unethical tendencies and that may leave you hanging because they sold you the cheapest policy when they really needed to sell you the best one. And I can promise you at the Highland Insurance Group, they're going to sell you the best one at the right price. They've got dozens of markets that are available to them. They can make sure you're placed appropriately from a premium perspective. But what they can also assure you is that when you have that loss, as unexpected as it may be, your business will keep performing because you'll be covered by that policy. Trust them as part of your business team from an insurance group. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can find them online at HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Thunder's in the driver's seat in the NBA's Western Conference Finals, up 3-1, and can knock out the Timberwolves in Game 5 tonight, advance to the NBA Finals for the first time in 13 years. It's likely OKC does continue its dominance at home this postseason. Tonight, believes ESPN, NBA, and MSG Network analyst Alan Hahn.
They're tough at home. They're 7-1 in the playoffs at home. You know they're going to be ready. They're right there on the verge. They can taste it. And once again, it's going to be their defense that turns it around for Minnesota. Sure. The game to get was Game 4. That was the close one. They couldn't pull it off at home.
OKC's outscoring opponents by nearly 24 points per game this postseason. Game 5, 8 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8:30 Eastern ESPN. Forward Sam Reinhart and A.J. Greer and defenseman Nico Mikkola return for the Panthers in the potential clincher tonight, Game 5 NHL East Final against Carolina. Oilers forward Zach Hyman had surgery on an undisclosed injury. He's likely out the rest of the playoffs. Edmonton leads the West Final 3-1 versus Dallas. Game 5 is tomorrow night.
Your summer drink is here. Twisted Tea is a smooth, refreshing, hard iced tea with 5% alcohol, making it the perfect drink to take any day this summer to the next level. Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2. Wednesday edition Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Officially half that work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We got plenty to do here in the second hour. In 30 minutes, I will go back and look at my SEC Baseball Power Rankings, kind of see how that all shook out, see how smart or not smart I was. Some LSU football coming up here in 15 minutes as well. But everybody likes to talk about pitching in the regional, and I'm going to talk now about pitching in the regional. Before we get into matchups and who needs to pitch when, which I'm going to do, let's talk about the state of the pitching staff right now. You have got Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson atop your rotation as what many people would suggest is the best 1-2 punch in all of college baseball. As far as stuff goes, Tennessee can make a claim to it. They haven't pitched as well as these two guys, no comparison. Florida State's got two wonderful pitchers led by Jamie Arnold, who could be a top 5 pick in the draft, is phenomenal. There are others in this sport that have great pitching at the top. Vanderbilt's guys are throwing it great. But Anderson and Ianson are as good as anybody. So that's a foundation where you feel like in a regional, a super regional in the first 2 games in Omaha, because you could theoretically not pitch one of them on Friday in the regional in Omaha. That doesn't exist. One of them's going to pitch. So regional, super regional, first 2 games in Omaha, that could be 13 to 15 innings of baseball right there that you feel great about those guys working for you. And then you go to the back end of the staff, and you start with Kason Evans and Zach Cowan, who I still have a ton of confidence in. Kason Evans has had 16 appearances. He's worked 41 innings as a freshman. His ERA is under 2. I feel great about him. I feel great about Zach Cowan at this point, even though it got wonky at College Station, which I didn't have a big problem with. It got wonky in Columbia, which I did have a big problem with. I thought he made decent pitches in College Station that got beat. I thought he made bad pitches in Columbia that got beat. But it happens. He's made 20 appearances. He struck out 53 and walked 10. Opponents hit 219 off of him. His ERA is 2.3. I feel great about him. That's 4 guys you absolutely have a ton of confidence in. I feel like at this point, Jaden Newt has garnered a lot of confidence. He's throwing a ton of strikes. He's got plenty of arm speed. The velocity's at 95. He's throwing that split change that's very difficult to hit. And I don't feel like he's going to give you 7 innings at any point, but I feel really good about him giving you 3 or 4. I feel like Chase Shores has turned a corner. He's working out of the bullpen. He's letting it fly. The velocity's better. The arm strength's great. He's throwing some breaking balls. Like, the command's not perfect, and I don't feel like he's going to give you 7 innings, which was the hope in February that he would be that guy. At this point, he's not. But I feel really good about him for 60 pitches. So I like where you are with him. Jacob Myers is an X factor. There's no question about that, because that stuff is good enough to get anybody out. But the walks are always going to be in the back of my mind because he's led the country in walks 2 years in a row. But I feel like there's some real potential and some real confidence with him right now. Then you've got to go a notch down to get to the guys like Maverick Rizzi and Connor Ware and Cooper Williams, DJ Primo. Like, that group is the rest of the story that you're definitely going to need if you have to play on Monday at some point in the weekend. And that you hope you don't have to rely on in a big spot. And the offense is going to have to do something about that in at least one of these games. So that said, Anderson, Ianson, Evans, Cowan, Myers, Newt, Shores. That's 7 guys in tier A and 1A. And then you've got another 4 or 5. Okay. And nobody has got 11 dudes. Okay. So like that, don't feel like I've just run through that and you go, well, what if you get to the other guys? Like, nobody's got 11. That doesn't happen. But if you have to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then maybe like you did last year in Chapel Hill, it takes a lot. So you are, in my opinion, set up as well as anybody as far as your pitching goes. Now, how do you do it this weekend in these matchups? Forever and ever, I have considered throwing your 3rd or 4th starter in the first regional game. I love the fact that Paul Maneri threw Alden Cartwright out there in a regional opener. I liked the fact that Paul Maneri back in 2008 threw Jordan Brown. You saved, in that year, it was Blake Martin and Jared Bradford who were your best 2 guys. When you throw Cartwright out there, you're holding him for Nola. And okay, I like that a ton. I did not like Paul Skeens pitching against Tulane. And I think most people are on that page today. And as I look at this regional, you look at where you want to deploy the lesser arms on your staff relative to where everyone else is with their pitching on the weekend. And if I was assured that Jaden Newt and Chase Shores were going to give me what they did and Jacob Myers back on Friday, I'm going to those guys for sure. If you can tie Ole Miss in knots and give up 2 runs over 9 innings, you ain't going to have any problem with Little Rock. And then at that point, you go into Saturday with Anderson and Cowan and Evans and Ianson loaded for bear. And that's a massive advantage to LSU. But you're not guaranteed of that. So what if something bad happens and you throw Newt out there? Well, you can go to Case and Evans. If you feel like you can win that game with Newt. And by the way, Newt, if you start him on Friday, you're thinking 4 innings. So you're going to have to go with some other arms. You're not going to get deep into the game with Newt. He's not going to all of a sudden give you 7 one-run innings. Like, he's a 4-inning guy. So you're going to have to use some other arms. And it might be that if you throw Newt and he gives you 4 innings and it's 1-0, either way, like, are you going to go to Case and Evans at that point because it's 1-0? Like, in your head, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to pitch off, we'll throw Newt, and then we'll throw Jacob Myers out there, and the offense will score 8 or 9 runs like they did in every midweek game, and Little Rock's like a midweek team, and we'll win the game 11-2. No big deal. But that's not guaranteed. And I'm having to weigh all contingencies. If I throw Newt and it's 1-0 after 4, and he's probably done, like, do I go to Case and Evans? And then, if we've only scored, if it's 4-1, am I going to Cowan? You're going to have to use additional arms. So the thought here is, if you throw Anderson, you're very likely, nothing's guaranteed, you're very likely to get 6 great innings, 7 great innings. Likely. And at that point, if it's 2-1 LSU or 3-0 LSU, go to Cowan, slam the door. If it's 11-0 because Anderson shut him out and you've hit 4 home runs, put Cooper Williams out there. And you've got Ianson ready to go in game 2. And you see how that goes. But 4 Ianson in game 2, you've got Evans, you've got Shores, you've got Nooch, you've got different guys to go to. So to me, I think because LSU has a 1-2, which I've told you this a lot over the last 3 weeks. I've never felt like this about a 1-2. I liked Jump and Holman last year. I thought it was great. Poche and Lang, dudes. Awesome career. But I haven't felt about a 1-2 that was on such level footing since I can remember. And so, to me, I think the best way to go about it is to say, Cade, here's the baseball on Friday. I need 7. I need 7. And if he does that, and you're in a close game, great. Because you've thrown your best guy out there, and he's kept you right there. Your offense obviously didn't come together. It didn't last week either, but you had your dude out there. You're right in the game. If your offense separates, great. Go to the back end of the staff because you've got an ace coming again on Saturday. What I didn't like is if you were going to use your ace on Friday, you didn't have anybody for Saturday. And candidly, at that point, when you use Skeens on Friday, you didn't have an ace ready for Saturday. Now, Ty Floyd gave us the performance of a lifetime in the championship series against Florida. But he was not that dude at that point in the season. And then he got yanked in that game, and you had to throw Thatcher Hurd out there. Now, he was great. He struck everybody out. But he hadn't been that dude. He wasn't that dude for 2 years here. You by throwing your ace in that Friday game, you were exposing yourself on Saturday. By throwing your ace against the worst team in the field, you are not exposing yourself on Saturday. Now, you may expose yourself on Sunday, but I've got to do it somewhere. I don't have 11 aces. And you can say I'd rather do it on Sunday when somebody's out of pitching as opposed to Friday. But Friday, the jitters are there. You can play tight. I'd rather take the sure thing and ease in. And then guess what? If somebody wants to come in here at 8 o'clock at night when that game is scheduled on Sunday and beat LSU with their 6th, 7th, and 8th pitcher, God bless them. So to me, because you have the insurance policy of a second ace, give the ball to your dude, Cade Anderson, Friday at the box, 2 o'clock. Say, I need 7 innings. If you need an ace closer after those 7 innings, put him in. If you can go to the last part of your bullpen because you got a 10-run lead, all the better. I think LSU's set up fine in this weekend for Sunday and even to Monday because I'm looking at Rhode Island, who has no pitching at all, and I'm looking at Dallas Baptist, who's got 3 guys on the front end, but it's not better than what LSU's got. And 2 of those guys are going to pitch in games that LSU doesn't play Dallas Baptist. So I've never thought this in my time covering and watching LSU baseball that, hey, just take this first game as seriously as possible. This team is positioned differently than those. So to me, I'm trying to take the first 2, and these 3 teams can come get me on Sunday night. They can have all they want. They're getting some form of Shores, Evans, Newt, Myers. I mean, that's a bunch of dudes throwing 95, 96 miles an hour. And it's got to be Connor Ware and Maverick Rizzi, who, oh, by the way, throws 97 too. And you got to hand it to those guys late, or Cooper Williams, who's really done a pretty nice job in the last 3 weeks. Like, okay. I'm not one of these guys who sits here on Friday and says, well, if you need Anderson back on Monday, let's do that. Because I think if you get to that spot, like they did with Jump last year, it really compromises you for the next weekend. Landon Marceau did that in Oregon, and then he came back against a good Tennessee team and just didn't have it in the second game of that Super. If you bring your Jared Poche did it, but if you bring your Friday guy back on Monday, I think you're in a little bit of trouble for the long haul. But I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about taking control of this thing from the front end. And to me, it's Anderson, then it's Ianson, then it's see what we've got left, which is better than whatever DBU or Rhode Island or Little Rock has on the back end. That's just how I would pitch it. So those are my thoughts there. We're inching ever so closer. If you're looking for breakdowns of the 3 LSU opponents in this regional, I've got all of it up there at LouisianaSports.net. You can go to the LSU Sports tab over on LouisianaSports.net, and all the breakdowns of the other 3 teams and LSU are right there if you just want a refresher. It's not really in-depth stuff. I'm just telling you what they did over the course of a season, some of the statistics that jump out. I give you the strengths of the team. I give you the weaknesses of the team, then a couple of players to watch. It's not heavy reading at all. So if you'd like to look at that, you sure can over at LouisianaSports.net. If you'd like to know how to get tickets to the regional, that's also at LouisianaSports.net on the homepage as well. So lots of content going up there on the site for free. Let's come back and do a little bit more, some LSU football when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. A lot of perks when you buy Genesis over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's pretty good. About the best in the industry. Talking about 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. They can't make it any easier for you. You say, well, I need the oil changed. Need to get the wiper fluid handled. Air filter's a little shoddy. Get it handled. But you don't have to compromise your whole day to get it handled. You just say, hey, I'm a Genesis driver. Come help me out. They will. They come to your house. They come to your place of business. They give you a loaner vehicle. Take yours back to the service aisle. Handle all the maintenance. Bring it right back to you. And it's complimentary for 3 years when you're a new driver. It's that type of experience you get with being behind the wheel of a Genesis. Look around the road. You'll start to notice more and more Genesis out there. It's because of the great people at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Stop by Airline at PQ. Check out the website, genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
As we mentioned in the first hour, the SEC meetings are ongoing over in Destin, and I led the show talking about the proposed amendments to scheduling and then to the college football playoff that are being kicked around over there in the Destin sand. But one thing that did come out of the meetings was Scott Rabelais chatting with Brian Kelly. And Scott Rabelais of The Advocate, who joins the guys on Live at Lunch every week and does an awesome job for the paper, asked Brian Kelly about Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins. We all know that Harold Perkins tore his ACL in the UCLA game, and then Whit Weeks was carted off the field in the bowl game. And those two guys are pretty important to the LSU defense, if you hadn't heard. And Brian Kelly said both guys are 100% clear. They're ready to do all offseason conditioning, and they'll be full throttle for fall camp. And that is not breaking news, but it's good to hear, right? Because you look at LSU's roster, specifically on the defense for the purposes of this conversation, and you look at the defensive line with Jamari Butler and Jack Pyburn, and you also added on the defensive end Patrick Payton, and then you go to Sadir Mitchell on the interior, and then you go back to the secondary, and you got Mansour Delane and Tamarcus Cooley and Jakeem Jackson, and like you brought in a ton of guys all over the defense, except at linebacker. Because I think the feeling is LSU is set up at linebacker. Greg Penn was a great leader for LSU, and he was a productive player statistically. Was he an all-conference player? He was not. Was he a high draft pick? He was not. Whit Weeks is seriously productive, is an all-conference level player, and Harold Perkins is a potential high draft pick. Now, they got to find a spot for him, but those two guys check some more boxes than Greg Penn did. And then you add in Devon Keys and what they asked him to do late in the season last year, which he did very well. Played a little bit at the nickel slot, played a little bit on the inside, played a lot of snaps in the bowl game when Weeks went down. That's a guy they feel very good about in his second year in the defense. And then West Weeks came back, which you didn't know if you were going to get as of Thanksgiving. He kind of wanted a red shirt, and then you got it across to him that, hey, if you stay, like, you are going to play, and Zach Weeks is going to come, and you can play with your very much younger brother. And it created an awesome opportunity for him, but it also really bolstered LSU's high-end depth at the linebacker spot. And I think that linebacker is really looking good for LSU in this 2025 offseason. I think that there are significant questions about how well LSU rushes the passer, significant questions about how well LSU covers man-to-man, significant questions about whether or not the safety play can get to the level that Brian Kelly has asked it to get to for now over a year. I don't have big questions about linebacker. Like, the questions I have are, how often does Harold Perkins line up here, and how often does he line up here? How often is he asked to do this? How often is he asked to do that? Is he covering more? Is he rushing the passer more? Is he playing on the inside more? But they're not like, do we have anybody that's really good on this unit? Like, that's not the question. Whit Weeks was second in the conference in tackles last year. Devon Keys was probably LSU's best freshman defender last year. And then Perkins is going to impact the game positively. I got way too many questions last year when Perkins went down and LSU started playing a little bit better against Ole Miss and playing a little bit better against Arkansas and playing a little bit better in some of those games. Like, well, is the defense better without Perkins? No, the defense is not better without Harold Perkins on the field. The defense is better when Harold Perkins is on the field and doing the things he's really good at. One of the things he's not really good at is playing right in the middle of the field on the hash, reacting to plays, getting onto the blocks of offensive guards, and shedding them to go make tackles. He's not really good at that. What he is really good at is getting up the field in pass rush and blitz situations and playing out in space, sometimes in coverage. He's really good at those two things. And he's better than anybody else they try to put in that role at that combination of things. Now, you can't spend the entire year with Harold Perkins on the edge of the line of scrimmage, flying up there trying to rush the passer and catching offensive tackles when the other team decides to run. You have to vary his role a little bit. But he can play that role and use that versatility better than anybody else you've got on the roster. So no, you don't get any better when Harold Perkins is not on the field. And Whit Weeks wasn't perfect last year. There were some plays where he didn't quite fill his assignment properly. One comes up at South Carolina. And it wasn't perfect, but it was his first year as a starter. We all loved the way he played 2 years ago, like a man with his hair on fire, but like he didn't play as much as we probably thought he should. And then it was his first year as a full-time starter last year. Now he's a seasoned vet. Now he's got a year under his belt. Now he knows how fast the game moves. Now he knows how long a season is. And he could lead the league in tackles. It would surprise no one if Whit Weeks led the SEC in tackles. And then Devon Keys, who I think is going to have a really nice year. Because they're not going to ask Devon Keys to be a stalwart middle linebacker who makes 105 stops. They're going to ask Devon Keys to complement the other two dynamic players right next to him. And I think he showed in November of last year that he's capable of doing that. So I'm hoping that LSU is, I think it's fair to say, significantly improved on defense this coming year. I'm hoping that. Expecting is probably too big a word, but I will tell you that where I can speak kind of definitively is that I have less question marks personally about LSU's second level of the defense than I do the first or the third. I think you've got the guys you need. I think you're going to put them in the positions you need to. We've had this Perkins conversation for 3 years. We'll have it one more time. Weeks has probably got 1 year left. And then Keys is hopefully blossoming into an all-league type player. And that is the nucleus of the middle of your defense that you can use to your advantage. Hopefully, you've solved some issues in coverage. Very much hopefully, you've solved your issues at safety. And hopefully, the blend of defensive front players that you've brought in and used to complement the guys that were already here is a really, really good unit. But at linebacker, I just don't have a lot of questions. I think LSU is going to be really good at linebacker. And it's great to hear from Destin that Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks are going to be out there the second the team breaks for summer workouts, and they're going to be out there kind of leading the charge. You heard Blake Baker say last week with Jacob Hester that, like, Perk's one of the leaders. And you know that Whit Weeks is. The defense needs those guys. They need them out there in the summer, and they're going to get them based on what Brian Kelly told Scott Rabelais earlier today in Destin. So very, very good stuff there from the beaches of the Florida Panhandle. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. You're looking to get into the pool of your dreams? Look no further than Renaissance Homes and Pools. Outdoor kitchens, yep, they absolutely do that. They love doing pools as well, and Joey Blanchard and his team have done it for dozens and dozens in and around Baton Rouge. The cool thing about working with Renaissance Homes and Pools is you work with Joey directly. It's a customer service and a relationship that you just can't find everywhere. Joey will be there when you do the consultation. He'll be there for the design work. He'll be there when his team is digging. He'll be there when they're finishing, and he'll be there after the completion of that process. There's value in having the owner of the company invested in what you're doing in your backyard. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. The website with a ton of pictures and videos of their awesome work is online at builtbyrenaissance.com. But better than that, I can give you Joey Blanchard's cell phone. The owner of the company wants you to call him directly to start this process. And that is really cool and one of the great perks of working with a local company. He's at 225, obviously, 252-7745. It's 252-7745. Give Joey Blanchard a call. Say, hey, heard about Renaissance on the Hunt Palmer Show. It's time to get this pool. He'll say, awesome, let's get this thing started. And you will be thrilled with your results. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com. They bring you our Wednesday shows. All right, 30 minutes to go. Come back with more.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, back on this show, we're about nothing if not accountability, right? This is a show just prides itself on integrity, accountability, holding your feet to the fire, which is why we, bashed you for your poor performance in the 999 challenge.
I still think that poor is a bit of maybe an excessive way to describe my performance.
Well, look, that's exactly the opposite of what I'm trying to convey here. We are here to take accountability for our shortcomings.
All right, you know what? I'm fine now. I'll go ahead and just take accountability for the fact that my performance was lackluster.
I'm glad to hear that. And look, every single week we look at my SEC picks against the spread in football, and I got to face the music. Sometimes I'm phenomenal. Sometimes I'm atrocious. In the end, it generally comes out to about 50-50. But we're there to be accountable. So at this point, it's time for me to be accountable about my initial SEC baseball power rankings. We've done power rankings for 15 straight weeks here, looking at the baseball teams. We're not going to hit the whole intro and all the music and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to look at, after 1 week of baseball,
all right,
I ranked them 1 to 16, and we'll see kind of how that shook out. Let's start at the bottom. I put Missouri last. That was probably pretty safe. Now, in my final power rankings, I did put South Carolina last, but I had Missouri last. They finished last in the league. So probably pretty fair assessment there. I had South Carolina 15th right out of the chute. I think that was pretty good as well. Either way, those are the worst two teams. Now, I had Kentucky 14th in my initial power rankings. In last week's, during the SEC tournament, I had Kentucky at number 14 because I don't think they're great, and I think that Texas A&M, who did not qualify for the tournament, was the only other team that didn't qualify for the tournament, is actually better than Kentucky. But it could be sliced and diced either way. I think that was a pretty reasonable take. I had Oklahoma at 13, which they were probably a little bit better than that. They were probably a little bit better than A&M. They were probably a little bit better than Mississippi State. But they were in the right realm there, so we were okay. I had Ole Miss at 12. That's a miss. Ole Miss was better than 12. They got a host. They could have gotten a top 8. I didn't like the fact that they had 3 seniors in their rotation to start the season. That tells me you don't have draftable dudes, which is generally a problem. But they hit a ton of homers, and they were pretty good. They got to the SEC tournament final. If they win that game, they're probably a top 8. So I missed on that one. I had Auburn at 11. That was a miss. Auburn much better than that. They had a great season. But those two were the only misses here in this part because I had Bama at 10, and that's right about where I think they should have been. Then Vandy at 9.
Yeah.
That's going to be a miss. They're the number 1 overall seed. They won 19 games in the league without playing Mississippi State, Missouri, or South Carolina. They won the SEC tournament.
You just continue to be one of the worst Vanderbilt handicappers in any sport.
Let me say that, and I don't think this is deferring a blame. I'm just bringing in my misery loves company thing. Like, I remember having a conversation with Joe Healy like a month in, and I was like, this just doesn't look like Vanderbilt used to look. And he was like, yeah, it doesn't. And, they had a lot of like big time MLB hitters in their lineup for years. And I don't know if they have that now. They don't have the J.J. Buldays and the Brian Reynolds.
Dansby Swanson.
Dansby and like those guys. But they pitch it like crazy, and they continue to do that. So Vandy, a lot better than 9. I had Texas at 8. So now we're struggling because like those are the top 2 seeds in the tournament, and I had them at 8 and 9 in the conference.
Yeah.
So that's not good. Georgia at 7. Probably better than that, but the pitching, not great. I think what I said about them was like, they still hit a lot and their velocity's better, but are they going to pitch? I don't know. I had Georgia at 7. Had Mississippi State at 6. That was atrocious. I liked their ace, and I thought that they had some hitting pieces back from last year's team that was pretty good. Like, they almost hosted last year. They should have hosted last year, and it all just fell apart until the last 3 weeks of the season. So that was a miss. And then you get into the top 5, which I had Arkansas at 5. That's probably wrong. I had Florida at 4, which maybe is more right now than it was a month ago.
You were in trouble a few months ago.
At 1 and 11?
Yeah, that was not good.
And then I had LSU at 3, Tennessee at 2, and A&M at 1. How'd the Aggies do? How does Michael Early still have a job?
That's a great question.
What are we doing? What is Trev Alberts is in Destin. He needs to be in College Station dealing with a new baseball coach. Is kind of what I think. And Kendall Rogers did say on Monday that he expects that A&M will not stand pat. But my question is when do you not stand pat? You don't have any more games to play.
What are you waiting for?
You don't have to go behind your coach's back anymore. And Mississippi State is very likely in the job market right now. And you are theoretically going to be competing with them for head coaching spots. So I would sincerely look into that. But I missed that with him at number 1 with everybody else.
Yeah, it's not like...
And then Tennessee finished, 6th in the league?
Yeah.
I had him at 2?
Yeah.
Would you be shocked if they won the national championship?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you?
Surprised. Not shocked. You're telling me in a regional in Knoxville this weekend, they're going to throw probably Marcus Phillips in the first game and Liam Doyle in the second game?
Yeah. This isn't like whenever Ole Miss won. They have more talent than
and
that
then
team.
They're going to have to go to Fayetteville. And, we'll see. But that's where their path leads. By the way, if LSU does get to Omaha, they will play the winner of that Fayetteville-Knoxville pool. So it's probably Arkansas and Tennessee in the first game in Omaha if LSU gets there. But that's a long way from right now. But ultimately, I had some significant misses. I think Ole Miss was a big miss at 12. Auburn was a big miss at 11. Vanderbilt was a big miss at 9. Texas a big miss at 8. Mississippi State a miss at 6. Florida a miss at 4. A&M a miss at 1. So half were probably
as usually,
off by 5 or 6.
You're always about 50-50 on most things. You got there again for this one.
50-50, is that good or not? That really is the question.
It's neither. That's it. It's just in the middle.
It's like the Seinfeld episode where he's even Steven.
Yeah, even Steven.
Just can't seem to get ahead, not really falling behind. Well, guess what really matters is that I handicap LSU properly, and I had LSU as the number 3 team in the SEC after 1 week of baseball, and they finished the 3rd seed in the SEC.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
If I can
that's
handicap,
what really matters.
If I can handicap the hometown team, I've got a chance. I've got a fighting chance.
That's where it counts.
To be reasonably well thought of. Not very. I was still getting DMs, by the way, when LSU got a top 8 seed. Got a DM. Let me read it. I'm going to read the DM on because people were listening to me and they're like, were people really sending DMs? This one didn't have profanity, but it said, "Hey, bud, wanted to check in on you. I know you were such an expert on baseball, so how can they give LSU a top 8 seed?" That was at 9:30 p.m. on Monday night after LSU got a top 8 seed.
They got you, Hunt.
Just to complete that person got to the computer or the phone at 9:30 and thought, you know what? Hunt said LSU was not getting a top 8. I'm going to bust his chops on this via DM. Check this out.
They got you, Hunt.
When in fact, I never said that. I never said they weren't getting a top 8. Ever. I just said, I feel good about it. Didn't think it was locked up after that first deal. And so I just put, hey, not an expert, just a talk show host. Said for 3 weeks they would get one. Thrilled it worked out. Go Tigers.
And hey, guess what? They got the 6th one. They were only 2 off from not getting it. So it's not like it was a lock as your point was they wasn't a lock.
I'll never know. But all I can do, and then I get the clickbait thing, which I still just am. And then people were calling me names on Tiger droppings because of clickbait. I don't get paid when people look at my tweets. I'm not sure what I get out of that.
You don't get paid.
I get paid. I get paid.
You do.
Not when people look at my tweets.
No.
That doesn't get me paid. And I didn't write a story that said that. I just tweeted it on a Sunday evening. So, but people still blowing up the DMs, just nailing me via the DMs.
Man,
it took me 2 days to recover from that tweet.
I can
from that
imagine.
DM. But I finally have made it out. I was able to hug both of my children this morning.
Thank goodness.
I was able to make it out after that sick DM that was fired my way. Which was just completely made up. And it's amazing to me sometimes how people just hear whatever they want. But they do. That's okay. Part of the gig. But we got accountability to go back to the root of this segment.
Yes,
so we'll always be there to answer your questions. Come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Our Rad Dad contest is back and bigger than ever. Roaming Shot Outdoors and Citizens Bank and Trust bring your dad's favorite gifts ever. A green egg thanks to Goodwood Hardware, a steak pack from Chris's Specialty Foods, Manly soap from Hawk Soap, and a hunting class for 2 from Roaming Shot Outdoors. Upload pictures at 1045ESPN.com now through June 8th. Then get your friends and family to vote June 9th through the 12th. Happy Father's Day to all those rad dads out there. You're not a rad dad, Hunt.
I was going to ask, think I'm a rad
No,
dad?
I knew I was, yeah. No, you're not.
I mean, I do some pretty rad stuff.
Really? What, give us an example.
I played in a golf tournament last weekend.
Oh, wow.
12 teams in our flight, Beck.
Yeah? Where did you finish?
11th.
Oh, well, hey, not last.
No, we did not get last.
Not last.
I won closest to the hole.
Okay.
On the 6th hole, which was we've had 7 after that. On the 6th hole on Sunday, closest to the pin.
Wow.
3 feet, 3 inches.
Ooh, Hunt.
Won a new belt.
Man.
Love to see it.
Yeah, it's great.
Did I make the putt? Yes or no?
No.
I did make the putt. Birdie. 4 points. Love to see it. Still got 11th out of 12. Maybe next year we'll be back in contention. But
maybe. How'd your dad do, by the way?
They did not do well.
Yeah.
It was not good. Not a great effort. They did finish positive on their quota the last day after 2 really poor performances.
He's not going to quit golf again, is he, though?
Not to my knowledge.
All right,
no.
that's good.
Doesn't sound like they'll be back and better than ever.
Got to keep
next
Mr.
year.
Palmer playing, man.
Gotta keep him out there.
Yeah.
I got to get my handicap up. We got it rose a little bit.
So what you're saying is you need to inflate your handicap to worse than what you really are.
I need to quit 1 out of 20 rounds playing really good. Just scrap that one
just
out.
none. But okay, but here's the problem with that. What if you do that, then you lose that round? So you might need that round at some point.
No,
huh?
I don't. No, like so I can't ever have it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I think that's gonna be. I need to get rid of the 1 round on there that's causing a little bit of problem. But my handicap's probably about right now.
But it's really hard. And it's really hard to get rid of that round because you're always going to keep your best rounds and you don't play a lot.
I don't play a lot. It's tough scene. That's all right. I had a great time.
That's good.
Wonderful time. Shout out Southern Trace.
Yeah.
We got any take it or leave it's?
No. Let's see. I can probably come up with a few. Let's see. No, that's not a good one. No, I don't have one actually. I got to get back in the swing of things.
How was Wrigleyville?
It was great. The weather, the whole week, the weather was not that.
I was watching the Cubs game last night. Everyone was in coats.
Yeah. So, thankfully, we went to the game on Monday, and it was a 120. So it was not bad. We were in the sun. My brother actually got sunburnt, even though it was like 50, 55, 60 degrees. But the weather for the game was great. And otherwise, the rest of the time, it was in the 50s, which is not ideal. I would not like to go to Chicago and have to wear a jacket most of the time.
That's the thing with Chicago. It is the best summer city in the country.
It is.
It's incredible. But it does not warm up until the middle of June.
No.
It's everyone's at the beach Memorial Day weekend, and everybody in Chicago's in jackets.
Yes. It was when the sun, it wasn't cloudy. Usually it's always cloudy. When the sun was out, it was fine. Like you could wear a long sleeve shirt and some shorts and you'd be fine. But when it was dark and at night it was cold. But it was a great trip. We hit all the normal spots. We did the architecture tour, all that.
Pizza?
Yeah, we did lose some pros, some cons from the group on that one. Not all loved it, but it's the whole deep dish thing.
Portillo's?
Yeah, of course. You gotta do that every time. And hit a few other.
Where'd you go before the game? Go to a bar?
So we did the boat architecture tour that morning. So the game was at 1:20. We did the architecture tour, ended at like 12, and then we ended up, and then we took the train to Wrigley.
The
Red Line.
It got off the Addison stop.
Yes, of course. You know that. You know. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't picture you guys as a train guy, but
I haven't. I've stayed in Wrigleyville the last few times and walked.
Yeah.
But we did take the train out to the United Center last time. There was a music festival, and we took it out there.
Yeah.
My confidence level on the train, knowing I was going the right direction, was like 77%.
Yeah,
like I was pretty sure I was going the right way, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, and you gotta, especially if you have a big group, it's okay. But like me and my wife we're the kind of the veterans of going to Chicago among the group, so we were kind of the ones who had the experience of going on the train, and so I had to make sure that I was like getting everybody going to the right spot, not going the wrong way on the train. And so, but it was fine. It was easy, from where we were at. You just get on the Red Line and it gets all the way to Wrigley. But it was great, man. We had a fun time. I'm glad. We're probably end up going almost every year at this point. It's just it's a really easy trip to make.
It is. I fear my next trip may not be for a while. It sounds like we're going to try to do a 5th anniversary trip next year, which is not going to be to Chicago. And it just seems like Wrigley is very far away from me right now, which is very difficult for me to come to terms with. That's all right. I am really loving watching the Cubs these days because they're playing awesome, even though their best 2 pitchers aren't there.
There was actually a what if in the chat about what if the Cubs win the Central World Series bound. If they can get healthy again with the pitching wise, then
the Rockies are mind-blowingly awful.
Yes, it was.
They're 9-45 or something.
Yeah,
like that's.
Yeah.
Come on, man. We talked about the White Sox all year last year. The Rockies are on pace to be worse than that.
Yeah, it was. They were so bad, man. Like it was pretty shocking. it really was a very weird game just because, like I said, Jamison Tyone had a perfect game going into like the fifth or sixth inning. And then the Cubs just couldn't get a hit against the Rockies pitcher who's got like an 8 ERA, and he's one of the worst starting pitchers in the league, and they couldn't get a hit. But, I mean, it ended up getting the win, so that was good. I got to fly the W. So
fly the dub. We like that. We also like getting out of here, which we're going to do right now. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further View. Excited for tomorrow's show. Talk to Chris Blair. We'll talk to Joe Healy. Get you keep ready for the Baton Rouge Regional, which will crank up on Friday. I'm going to go write some more for the website. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.